few lines in general, generic lines, not important. Business strategies relate organizational resources to challenges and opportunities in the larger environment. Through the strategies, we are trying to match SWOT, which is basically internal resources, your strengths, to the external opportunities and threats that are available. So threats की जगह word challenges use किया गया है, strength की जगह word resources use किया, but more or less we're trying to say we will try and utilize our resources to capture opportunities and meet the challenges. The changes in the environment challenge organizations to find new strategies to remain in business and succeed. ताकि हम survive कर सके, ताकि हम succeed कर सकें. पहले survive करना है, फिर succeed करना है. लेकिन ये कर पाने के लिए we need to adapt to the changing environment, and that is where it's important that you have a good strategy. As the world is getting smaller and the competition is increasing, organizations have increasing pressure to strengthen their competitiveness. And we need to analyze the internal and external environment to achieve competitive advantage. To flourish, a business must be aware of, assess, and respond to the many opportunities and threats present in the environment. In order to succeed, the business must not only be aware but also be able to handle and adapt to them. To survive, aware of environment होना चाहिए. To succeed, aware and able to handle environment होना चाहिए. तो बोला सरवाइव करने के लिए हमारे को जी ले जरा है. ऑब्जेक्टिव इज टू सर्वाइव. सो फॉर सर्वाइवल वी शुड नो द एनवायरमेंट एंड द कंपोनेंट्स ऑफ द एनवायरमेंट दैट आर अफेक्टिंग अस, एंड दैट विल बी इनफ. We should know the environment and the components of the environment that are affecting us, and that will be enough. But to succeed, you need to go another level. So then you need to handle all these components of the environment, capable of handling them. Then अगर environment को संभाल लिया तो फिर succeed, flourish कर पाओगे. The business must continuously evaluate the environment and modify operations to thrive and expand. Strategic decisions are significant aspects of business management. Two crucial aspects of success: functioning of top management, method of formulation of strategic decisions. The environment is far more dynamic and unpredictable than it used to be. समझ में आ रहा है लाइन्स? पहले जितना environment dynamic unpredictable था, उससे कहीं ज़्यादा environment dynamic हो गया because the number of environmental factors have increased. So today, even if there is something that happens in US that has a immediate impact on the Indian stock market, on the Indian economy, and on my business, directly or indirectly. So eventually, not in my business, but I'm saying an example. So eventually the environmental factors that were influencing my business have increased multiple times. That automatically makes it more important for me to be able to be aware of the environment and to be able to handle the environment. Now any environment has two parts, the micro and the macro. Basic है, ये तो अपने स्कूल लेवल से, बचपन से, स्कूल, कॉलेज, फाउंडेशन सब सीखा है आप लोगों ने. Okay. The environment in which an organization exists can be described in terms of the opportunities and threats in the external environment, apart from the strengths and weaknesses in the internal environment. वैसे आगे वापस आएगा स्वॉट पे डिटेल डिस्कशन, बट अभी आ रहा है तो कर ले रहे हैं डिस्कशन. So there are two parts of the business environment. Internal environment and external environment. The internal environment gives me strengths and weaknesses. The external environment gives me opportunities and threats. Together they are the SWOT. My generation kids would know SWAT cats. There was something called SWAT. I don't know whether you guys have heard of it. SWOT. So there used to be SWAT. Check. Are you getting the diagram? Are you getting the concept? So we're saying that's what one line, 4 लाइन तक उन्होंने लिखा है सिंपल भाषा में कि SWOT के अंदर there is internal environment gives me strength and weaknesses, the external environment gives me opportunities and threats, and we need to analyze all these 4 factors while making our business strategies. Okay, you can copy if you can, you should. Moving on. Business strategists should always be adequately informed on developments occurring in their company, industry, micro and macro environment. The external environment के 2 पार्ट होंगे, micro environment and the macro environment. Now we've studied micro, the smaller areas, individual components, immediate periphery, influences the organization, suppliers, consumers, marketing intermediaries, competitors, these are specific to the said business. Now there is a SQ here. Issues to be addressed in micro environment. Obviously SQ, amendment, important. Issues to be addressed in microenvironment. Pick the right words, and if you pick the right words, it will be much more easier. Employees, customer base, finance, suppliers, local community, and competitors. Now comes to the broad part. The employees of the firm, their characteristics, they are a part of the micro environment. The customer base, the way you will procure finance or financers, suppliers, the society, more importantly, let's say market in which the firm operates, and the competitors. देखो माइक्रो पे अपने बुक में इतना ही डिस्कशन है, मेन फोकस मैक्रो पे है. यहाँ से पूरा मैक्रो का डिस्कशन शुरू होगा जो पूरा एंड ऑफ द क्लास तक आज चलने वाला है. टुवर्ड्स देन इंटरनेशनलाइजेशन वगैरह की तरफ अगर हो सकेगा तो जाएंगे, बट आइडियली अदरवाइज पूरा फोकस अभी मैक्रो पे रहने वाला है. सो चेक, आर वी क्लियर विद दिस? एक मिनट लेके देख लो, फिर अपने एलिमेंट्स ऑफ मैक्रो एनवायरनमेंट शुरू करेंगे. The factors of microenvironment relate to the organization. The macroenvironment is the portion of the outside world that significantly affects the organization but is beyond the direct control of the citizen. So micro is still in our control. हम अपने employees change कर सकते हैं, control कर सकते हैं, अपने suppliers, अपने customers, competitors, कहीं ना कहीं ये सब पे हम एक level of influence directly कर सकते हैं. लेकिन मैक्रो इन्वायरमेंट विल बी जहां पे लार्जली हम इंडिविजुअली कुछ भी इन्फ्लुएंस नहीं कर सकते. इट्स मच बियॉन्ड द पोटेंशियल स्कोप ऑफ एनी सिंगल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. ओके, टेक अ मिनट प्लीज. आर यू कंफर्टेबल एंड क्लियर टिल हियर? बिकॉज देन वी विल बी मूविंग इनटू मैक्रो इन्वायरमेंट द नेक्स्ट पार्ट. यहां तक क्लियर? एक बार चेक कर लो. Okay, let's move to the macro environment now. Elements of macro environment. Now macro environment is the broader market. So what are the main elements? You should always know. डेमोग्राफिक हमेशा बचपन से जब से सीखा होगा, मैक्रो एनवायरनमेंट का सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट पार्ट होता है डेमोग्राफिक. डेमोग्राफी इज बेसिकली population का characteristics. Population का characteristics. So the literacy rate, the birth rate, the mortality rate, the sex ratio, the gender ratio, the age maturity ratio, the age in terms of, let's say, the population is young or old or an average age. There are a lot of such factors that we consider in demographics, and it is very relevant and important for a lot of organizations because they need to understand the demographies and then accordingly market their products. Next is economic. Goes without saying, the overall economic market, whether it's going into recession, whether there is high inflations, what kind of interest rates are there, because interest rates will directly influence the borrowing power, which will affect your cost of capital, which is going to eventually affect the businesses. FM तो लेके जाएंगे, FMSM साथ है. Okay, then comes the political environment. So political obviously plays an important role in terms of, let's say, stable government है कि नहीं, गवर्नमेंट के पॉलिसीज़ कैसे हैं, गवर्नमेंट कोऑपरेटिव है कि नहीं, गवर्नमेंट ने क्या मेजर्स लिए हैं फॉर द बिजनेस, ईज ऑफ डूइंग बिजनेस, विच इज़ वाई द current central government has been praised by a lot of foreign investors because they have improved the Indian rating in ease of doing business. Political, economic, demographic, social and cultural. Socio-cultural बोलते हैं शायद इसको. So what's socio-cultural? It's about the society in general, the culture of the people, वहाँ का लोगों का सोचने का तरीका, behavior. Demography is different from socio-cultural because demography is the characteristics of the population, while socio-cultural has to do with the behavior because वहाँ के culture, वहाँ के लोगों का तौर तरीका. So I'll tell you a few things. अलग अलग लोगों का अलग अलग जगह का कल्चर अलग अलग होता है. कल्चर पे बात चली है तो कल तक जाएगी, मतलब थोड़ा दूर तक जाएगी. हर जगह के लोगों का काम करने का कल्चर अलग अलग होता है. So for example, if you're from Calcutta, you know, I mean, the ones who are being recorded will know that I'm from Calcutta, and the Calcutta culture, ऐसे आपको थोड़ा सा फ्यूचर बताते हैं, चिट चैट मोड. तो कलकत्ता का कल्चर ऐसा है कि अगर आप काम करने बैठो, ओके, आर्टिकलशिप पीरियड में you people are going to realize this very soon. When you join, they will tell you that we work 5 days a week and we occasionally work 6 days. but they will never tell you how occasionally that occasionally comes. In general, the Calcutta culture is to work 6 days a week, and like full-fledged 6 days a week. Even if a lot of companies are like 5 days, but occasionally संडे सैटरडे को फिर भी ऑफिस आने का कल्चर है सर यहाँ पे. सैटरडे चाहे ऑफिस आके हाफ डे करके 3-4 बजे निकल जाओ, लेकिन सैटरडे ऑफिस आने का कल्चर है यहाँ पे. I am also in office on a Saturday today recording this. Okay, so that's the culture. If you go to Bombay and let's say Bangalore, a lot of other cities, they have a culture that you're working 5 days a week. Now 5 days a week we will work till 9 p.m. 10 p.m. but 2 days it's off. 5 days a week. Work hard, party hard. Simple mintra hai unka. Mintra hai unka. So they're going to work hard for 5 days, maybe till 9 p.m. 10 p.m. but they're going to have 2 days off. That's the culture there. You go to Europe, you go to a lot of Western countries, and the companies there, by the way, let me tell you, a lot of countries are now exploring, and a couple of countries, I don't remember the names exactly, but a couple of companies in certain countries have already adopted 4 days a week working. So ये तो luxury है, 4 days a week working. आप समझ रहे हैं, मतलब हफ्ता में 3 दिन छुट्टी. तो मतलब हफ्ता तो मतलब छुट्टियों में ऐसे लगेगा मतलब अभी छुट्टी गया और कल छुट्टी आ गया. ऐसा ही होने वाला है. 4 days a week culture. So that is how the culture is changing. I have a few friends, students working in various international clients, and they tell me in a lot of international companies they have a fixed culture that we work 9 to 5. At 4:45 the office computer rings an alarm to tell me that the office shuts down in 15 minutes. And if you work beyond 5, it goes to show that you need extra time to finish the work that others can finish by 5. And if you want to work beyond 5, you have to take prior permission, and it goes negative for you. क्या आप बोल रहे हैं सर? यहां तो ऐसा है कि ऑफिस में काम नहीं हो लेकिन फिर भी 7 बजे तक बैठना है. और एक बार गलती से आर्टिकलशिप में ऐसा होगा, खास करके फर्स्ट मंथ में, तो आपका काम नहीं है, आप 6 बजे जाके सर को पूछेंगे सर हम घर चला जाएंगे, काम नहीं है, हो गया. अच्छा तेरे को घर जाना है, बड़ी है, रुक मैं काम देता हूं. आप सीख जाएंगे अपने आप 7 बजे तक चुपचाप बैठे रहने का कल्चर सीख जाएंगे. कल्चर है, चाहे काम नहीं हो लेकिन शाम का जब तक ऑफिस में बैठ के मुड़ी चप नहीं खाते, लगता ही नहीं ऑफिस आकर गए. कल्चर है. So the culture is different from place to place, and what kind of a culture is there, accordingly I'll have to implement my strategies. आज अगर मैं उन यूरोपियन कंपनीज को जो 4 days a week में आ गई उनको 6 days का बोलूं तो वो धरना पे बैठ जाएंगे. ठीक है ना. तो हर कंपनी का अपना अपना कल्चर होगा, एंड कंट्री का कल्चर होगा. मुझे वहां के लोगों का कल्चर समझना होगा, एंड फिर अकॉर्डिंगली अपने पॉलिसीज बनाने होंगे. So every organization needs to understand the macro environment, and within macro environment they need to understand the socio-cultural environment within which the organization operates, and then accordingly make the strategies. ये कोविड में ना, COVID and post-COVID gave a boon to IT sector and a lot of other sectors because of WFH, work from home. Now this WFH, work from home concept, evolved. For a lot of them it was a boon, for a lot of them it was a bane. Eventually a lot of companies are now going back to work from office. But we often see a lot of foreigners come to India as tourists, and they're in India for like 6 months, and we are like jealous. यार 6 महीना का छुट्टी किसको मिलता है? हमारे को यहाँ 1 हफ्ते की छुट्टी के लिए 2 महीना तक बोलना पड़ता है, और यहाँ उनको 6 महीना का छुट्टी. Who said they were on a vacation? They are working from home. Where the home is, it does not make a difference. I could be on the beaches, I could be on the Himalayas. I just need a good laptop, I need a good Wi-Fi connection, and I'm working. ठीक है ना. मीटिंग भी आ गया तो टाई पहना, शर्ट पहना, मीटिंग में बैठ गया, नीचे क्या उससे तो फर्क ही नहीं पड़ता. मतलब बैकग्राउंड का ध्यान देना पड़ता है. वर्क फ्रॉम होम, बहुतों ने बहुत सारे मीम्स बने थे वर्क फ्रॉम होम के ऊपर, बैकग्राउंड नहीं ध्यान देने का ड्यूरिंग कोविड. Okay, jokes apart, but You understanding socio-cultural environment and how does that impact the organizations. Okay, demographic, economic, political, socio-cultural, there will be something called legal, technological. Okay, so technology is constantly evolving, and with changes in the technology we cannot keep coming to the market with outdated technological products, because if I come to market with outdated technological products, my products will not sell in the market. Simple. It will just not sell. So what do? I have to keep up with the technology in the market so that my products sell, my services sell, which is why I need to understand the technological environment and the changes happening in the technological environment. These are going to be major components of the of the macro environment that we are going to be reading. अपने लिए ना हर एक के बारे में about a paragraph है, so they can all be a proper SQ, short note questions. They can be a short note on anyone. So you have to read thoroughly for a paragraph to be able to write a paragraph. We will be reading them together, obviously अभी पढ़ेंगे सब साथ में, लेकिन this is how the questions are going to be created on these areas. थोड़ा सा एक overview दे रहे थे आपको before we go into the books. आइए चलते हैं. Elements of macro environment. The macro environment has broader dimensions. इसके अंदर economic, socio-cultural, technological, political and legal factors होता है. The environment includes factors outside the firm which can lead to opportunities or threats for the firm. समझ में आ रहा है? Environment is outside, but that can affect the organization. Although there are many factors, important one is socio-economical, technological, supplier, competitors, government. The external environment is made up of all the individuals, teams, organizations, agencies and factors that it routinely interacts with when doing business, that the organization interacts with while doing business. So what are going to be the components? External environment का दो पार्ट है, हाँ, माइक्रो एंड मैक्रो. अपने अभी ऑब्वियसली मैक्रो वाले पार्ट में फोकस करने जा रहे हैं. तो मैक्रो में हम लोग कौन कौन से फैक्टर्स पे फोकस कर रहे हैं देख लो. सबसे पहले आएगा डेमोग्राफिक एनवायरनमेंट, सोशियो कल्चरल एनवायरनमेंट, इकोनॉमिक एनवायरनमेंट, political and legal environment, technological environment, and I think that's it. Yeah. So these are the broadly 5 factors that we're going to be discussing in macro environment components. Demographics are the characteristics of a population. ये word याद रखना हमेशा. डेमोग्राफी वर्ड जब भी आता है ये वर्ड आना चाहिए, कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स ऑफ पॉपुलेशन, that have been classified and explained like age, gender, income. Demographical analysis considers factors such as race, age, income, education, possession of assets, house, घर है कि नहीं, region, job positions, degree of educations, secondary, higher secondary, graduate, postgraduate. Marketers and other social scientists regularly divide a population based on their demographic makeup so that they are able to best understand how to market their product. India has relatively a younger population as compared to many other countries. That many multinationals are interested in India because of the population size. Now, if you understand this, China is decaying, and a lot of people are saying India is overcoming China. Why? Because China has a aging population. Aging population means a major part of the Chinese population is higher in age, which is why the average age of China is much higher than that of India, which means that the Indian average age is much lower. India has a younger population, which means they are more active, they are more working, they are more alert, vigilant, and that is why India is the next growth story. Okay. Considering demographic is of immense importance for any business. Business organizations need to study different demographic factors: size, age, distribution of the population, geographical dispersion, ethnicity, income distribution are all great importance to the organization. Are you clear with this? See, so the demography consists of the characteristics of the population. Characteristics के अंदर ये सब factors आते हैं, इनको समझना ज़रूरी होता है because इसके accordingly marketing वगैरह किया जाएगा, accordingly हम अपने customers को target कर रहे होंगे. आज let's say I want to know if I'm going to be selling let's say kids wear, so I need to understand the population, the mentality, the per capita income, so that I can accordingly price my products and accordingly market my products. For example, I need to understand the per capita income, and accordingly, for example, I'll give you an example, India had a lower per capita income for about 50 years since independence. And a lot of international car manufacturers never came to India for the simple reason they felt that the per capita income is so low कि यहाँ पे justify नहीं होता, कुछ गाड़ियाँ खरीदने वाले वो ऐसे भी import करके खरीद लेंगे. Now with the growth of India and the India being the next growth story, you will know all the major manufacturers are coming to India, Tesla being the latest ones. So why are we discussing this? This is how demography plays a role in your strategies. While whether you should set up in India, whether you should enter India or not, you need to understand the demography, and the demography is one of the most positive reasons why most multinationals are coming to India. ऊपर में हमने कहा ये line. So they understand that the Indian population has positive demographics. Age अच्छा है, per capita income rising है. These are positive factors that are going to make a lot of multinationals tempted to come and set up in India. Okay. Moving on, socio-cultural environment. A general factor that influences almost all enterprises in a similar manner. This is something that impacts almost all organizations in a similar manner. It represents क्या-क्या चीजें? Social traditions, values, beliefs, वहाँ के लोगों का सोचने का तरीका, तौर तरीका, culture, behavior, standards of literacy, ethical standards, state of society, the extent of social stratification. What is social stratification? Strata मतलब होता है layers. एक एक word से समझो. Strata मतलब होता है layers. So social this is more like a tongue twister. Social stratification is more about dividing the society into stratas. So what is the extent of stratification? किस तरह society upper class, middle class, lower class में बांटा गया है? Cohesiveness of the society and so forth. Important line, huh? It differs from demographics. It is not the characteristic of the population, but it is the behavior and the belief system of that population. इसको समझ के रखना हमेशा. डेमोग्राफी एंड सोशियो कल्चरल में फर्क है. क्या फर्क है ये हमेशा क्लियर रहना चाहिए. डेमोग्राफी इज मोर अबाउट द characteristics of the population, and socio-cultural is more about the behavior and the thoughts and values and beliefs of the population. Socio-cultural environment relates to human relationships and the impact of social attitudes and cultural values. The beliefs, values and norms of a society determine how individuals and organizations should be interrelated. The beliefs, values and norms of a society, वहाँ के लोगों का सोच तौर तरीका determine how individuals should be and organization should be interrelated. The core beliefs of a society are persistent. It is difficult for a business to change these core values which become a determinant of its functioning. तो हर जगह के लोगों का एक जनरल तौर तरीका होता है और आप वहां के लोगों के सोच और तौर तरीकों को 2 दिन में नहीं बदल सकते. इट विल टेक मे बी years and decades. So the mindset of the people cannot be changed in a day. I mean, with the advent of the foreign culture, yes, a lot of companies are thinking of moving to 5 days in Calcutta, maybe 4 days in India, some places. But you cannot change culture in a day. Culture does not change so easily. The core values are persistent. समझ में आ रहा है ना? Which is why it becomes more important to understand the core values of the people there and then accordingly set up your business organization. Otherwise, you're going to be like Tata and moving your factories from here and there. Disclaimer. Okay. So, ideally, the core beliefs of any country, state, city, region cannot be changed easily. You need to understand the core beliefs and values of people and then accordingly make your strategies. Socio-cultural. Next is economic environment. The economic conditions have a direct bearing over the business strategies. Okay. The economic environment refers to overall economic situation. इसमें क्या क्या factors आते हैं? 3 important factors आते हैं, पता है? और भी बहुत होता है. So for an economy, I mean, this is like very basic but very important. You know, in your life you should always know this for interviews, for your personal preparations, for your CA finals. अभी आप इंटर में हो, फाइनल में जाओगे. There are 3 important rates for any economy. The 3 pillars of an economy. Interest rate, and inflation rate. इसको भी पूरा लिख देते हैं. And these 3 rates are like the pillars of any economy for that matter. And they have a major bearing on the overall performance of the economy. Interest rate, exchange rate and inflation rates. And ये तीनों rate economic environment का part है. इंटरेस्ट रेट से बोरोइंग कॉस्ट इंपैक्ट होता है, कॉस्ट ऑफ कैपिटल इंपैक्ट होता है, अफेक्ट्स द इकोनॉमी. एक्सचेंज रेट से इंपोर्ट एक्सपोर्ट्स इंपैक्ट होता है, इंपैक्ट्स द इकोनॉमी. इन्फ्लेशन के वजह से परचेजिंग पावर ऑफ द मनी चेंज होता है, प्राइस ऑफ गुड्स चेंज होता है, एक इंपैक्ट्स द इकोनॉमी. सो दीज आर 3 पिलर्स ऑफ द इकोनॉमी. इसके सिवाय ग्रोथ रेट ऑफ द जीडीपी, फॉरेन एक्सचेंज रिजर्व्स, दीज आर ऑल एग्जांपल्स ऑफ इकोनॉमिक फैक्टर्स दैट इन्फ्लुएंस एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, influence the economy and thereby the organization that you need to understand. Okay, आ जाओ. Includes conditions that are regional, national and global levels. It encompasses conditions in the market that have an effect on the supply of inputs and outputs. Current income, price, savings, circulation of money, debt and credit availability. The purchasing power of an economy depends upon all these factors. Effect of economic prospects, growth and inflation. Higher interest rates are detrimental for the business with high debt. Why? Because in the real estate market, they reduce the capability of the prospective buyers to avail loan and pay installment, thus lowering the demand. Interest rate बढ़ना obviously कई सारे सेक्टर्स के लिए खराब होता है, बिकॉज कई सारे सेक्टर्स में यू हैव अ लॉट ऑफ लोन्स दैट यू नीड टू टेक वर्किंग कैपिटल के लिए या रियल एस्टेट वगैरह के अंदर, एंड व्हेन यू हैव हाई इंटरेस्ट रेट्स दैट ऑटोमेटिकली इंक्रीजेस द कॉस्ट फॉर दीज ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस, व्हिच इवेंचुअली may be detrimental for that sector. The economic conditions consider set of economic factors. These include GDP, per capita income, availability of capital, foreign exchange reserves, strength of capital market, interest rates, disposable income, unemployment, inflation, etc. All these factors generally tell the state of the economy, whether it is doing good or is it performing poorly. So eventually these are factors that will tell me how the overall economy is performing, which directly or indirectly will tell me the state of the economy and whether we should be further moving ahead in this sector or not. देखो समझ में आ रहा है क्या? हम लोग कई सारे मैक्रो इन्वायरमेंट के कंपोनेंट समझने निकले हैं, जिनमें सबसे पहला 3 हमने समझा है, डेमोग्राफिक, सोशियो इकोनॉमिक, सोशियो कल्चरल एंड इकोनॉमिक. ये तीनों ही इंपॉर्टेंट है. इकोनॉमिक पूरा इकोनॉमी एज अ होल को लेके हो गया, डेमोग्राफिक कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स को लेकर हो गया, सोशियो कल्चरल वहाँ के लोगों के बिलीव्स एंड वैल्यूज से रिलेटेड हो गया. नेक्स्ट इज द पॉलिटिकल एंड लीगल इन्वायरमेंट. Now political and legal में फर्क क्या है? Legal is with respect to laws. कंट्री का लॉज क्या है, कैसा है, बिकॉज इवेंचुअली यू विल हैव टू फॉलो द लॉ ऑफ लैंड. वहाँ के लॉज तो कंप्लाई करने पड़ेंगे. तो पहले लॉज क्या है समझिए, लीगल सिस्टम क्या है, कैसा है समझिए, लॉ एंड ऑर्डर का सिचुएशन कैसा है समझिए. पॉलिटिकल इज विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू द गवर्नमेंट एंड द गवर्नमेंट पॉलिसीज एंड द गवर्नमेंट एक्शंस और इनएक्शंस. The political legal environment takes into account elements like the general level of political development, degree to which business and economic issues have been politicized. तो कई सारे देशों में क्या होता है या कई सारे कंट्रीज सिटीज में क्या होता है, विद इन द सेम कंट्री कई बार छोटे छोटे मुद्दों का बड़ा बड़ा पॉलिटिकल एजेंडा बना दिया जाता है. गोज विदाउट सेइंग, हर कंट्री में एग्जांपल्स मिल जाएगा, आई एम नॉट गोइंग इनटू नेमिंग ऑफ यू, बट कोई भी छोटे मोटे एक एजेंडा को, इशू को लेकर एक पॉलिटिकलाइज कर दिया जाता है, पॉलिटिसाइजेशन हो जाता है. ये पॉलिटिसाइज अगर बार बार मुद्दे हो रहे होंगे तो कोई भी बिजनेस के लिए ऑपरेट करना बहुत दिक्कत हो जाता है. आज ट्रेड यूनियंस वगैरह अगर बहुत ज़्यादा स्ट्रांग होगा तो हर कोई भी बात को लेके वो लोग स्ट्राइक पे बैठ जाएगा, धरना पे बैठ जाएगा. एंड दिस वाज अ कल्चर इन द कंट्री ए लॉन्ग बैक. we've come a long way from that situation, but yes, this was a situation जहां हर साल में कम से कम कई सारे भारत बंद और cities बंद होते थे. But we've overcome that situation. Why? Because today people want to work, earn and grow. They don't want to sit back at home. That's the changing culture. But the political and legal situation कैसा है ये समझने का बात कर रहे हैं. The degree of political morality, वहाँ के लोगों का morally state of law and order, political stability, political morality की morally काम कर रहे हैं, immoral, political ideology, सोच नजरिया, काम करने का तरीका, and practices of the ruling party. Because obviously opposition से ज़्यादा ruling party है जो हमारे लिए relevant होगा, because अभी तो वही है पावर में. The effectiveness of the government agencies, गवर्नमेंट की एजेंसियां तो हैं पर सिर्फ काम नाम के लिए है या काम के लिए है, सिर्फ नाम का लिए रखी हुई हैं या वो सच में भी कुछ काम कर रहे हैं हमारे लिए. एंड द स्कोप ऑफ गवर्नमेंट इंटरवेंशन इन द इंडस्ट्री. आज अगर गवर्नमेंट हर चीज में इंटरवीन करेगा तो कोई भी कंपनी के लिए वो काम करने के लिए आइडियल सिचुएशन नहीं है. यू वांट अ फ्री हैंड टू वर्क, provided you stay within the boundaries laid down by the government, you need a free hand to work. But if there is a government intervention in everything that you do, eventually that's not a healthy environment for a business to exist. Which is why as an organization you need a level of freedom. Does the government give you that? It is partly general to all similar enterprises and partly specific to individual enterprises in an industry. Just add that words there. तो कुछ गवर्नमेंट पॉलिटिकल लीगल फैक्टर्स होंगे जो पूरे देश के लिए है, हर कंपनी के लिए है। कुछ पॉलिटिकल लीगल फैक्टर्स होंगे जो स्पेसिफिक इंडस्ट्रीज के लिए हो रहे होंगे, विच इज फेयर। Business is highly guided and controlled by government policies. Hence, the type of government running a country is a powerful influence on the business. A business has to consider the changes in the regulatory framework and their impact on the business. Important factor coming up: taxes and duties are another critical areas that may affect the business. So, obviously, government का taxability या GST आना, टैक्सेस बढ़ाना, टैक्सेस घटाना, टैक्सेस के प्रति गवर्नमेंट पॉलिसी कैसा है, ये सब भी एक इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्टर है। टैक्स एंड ड्यूटीज, आज अगर गवर्नमेंट ड्यूटीज वगैरह लगा रहा है, एडहॉक ड्यूटीज लगा देता है रैंडमली, तो कोई भी कंपनी को अनसिक्योर फील करेगा। कल को मेरे प्रोडक्ट पे लगा दिया तो हम क्या करेगा, हम तो फिर मेरा प्रोडक्ट ही वायबल नहीं रह जाएगा। इन्वेस्ट क्रोर्स एंड सडनली फाइंड माय प्रोडक्ट इज नॉट वायबल, आई एम गोना बी एट अ लॉस। ओके, businesses prefer to operate in a country where there is a sound legal system. However, in any country, businesses must have a good working knowledge of the major laws protecting consumers, competition, and organization. Organizations, businesses must understand the relevant laws. जो भी applicable laws है वो सब पढ़ना है, समझना है before you start doing business, वरना बाद में दिक्कत आ जाएगी, बोलना चाह रहे। एक छोटा सा इंडिपेंडेंट डिस्कशन है बट रेलेवेंट है, नेशनलिज्म। What is nationalism? So nationalism is about promoting your country. It's nothing wrong. Nationalism is not wrong. Nationalism is about being patriotic. Like Make in India campaign, Atmanirbhar Bharat campaigns. Supports measures aimed at enhancing the position of a country in international business. अपने कंट्री का पोजीशन को इंटरनेशनल मार्केट में इंप्रूव करना इज नेशनलिज्म. सो इट्स नथिंग रॉन्ग. Presently, there is an immense thrust on nationalism in India through Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat. PLI schemes जिसको बोलते हैं, Production Linked Incentive Schemes, PLI बोलते हैं इसको शॉर्ट में, ठीक है ना, is the another step in this direction. The scheme encourages foreign businesses to open businesses in India and at the same time incentivizes domestic businesses to open or expand their manufacturing facilities and lessen India's reliance on imports. So India wants to become self-sufficient, which is nothing wrong about it. India wants to become a net exporter, which is not nothing wrong. So India has its own aspirations as a country, and nationalism is where we try to help India achieve its aspirations. We try to make India a better place in the international market. That's nationalism. So a lot of people think nationalism in a different manner, but nationalism is nothing negative. Nationalism is a positive concept where you try to promote your country in the international markets, and you try to place your country in a preference to other countries and try to improve your country's position gradually overall. Okay, we're moving towards the last part of the मैक्रो इन्वायरमेंट. मैक्रो इन्वायरमेंट को स्टडी करने का एक तरीका आएगा पैसल आगे, बट द लास्ट पार्ट ऑफ द मैक्रो इन्वायरमेंट फैक्टर्स में टेक्नोलॉजिकल आने वाला है. यहाँ तक क्लियर है? अपने एक मिनट देख लेते हैं. टेक अ मिनट, चेक थ्रू, आर वी कंफर्टेबल एंड क्लियर टिल हियर? वील देन मूव अहेड टू द नेक्स्ट पार्ट्स. Okay, now technological environment, a highly important factor in the present times is technology. Goes without saying, in today's era we cannot imagine and plan something without technology. That's how much we're dependent on technology. Not practically everything that we do in the organization is somewhere directly or indirectly in today's world getting technology dependent, affected. So you also need to be updated with the technology. I can't work with Pentium Celeron processors. Okay, Technology has changed the way people communicate and do things. If someone does not know, Celeron was like predecessor processors. Technology has also changed the way of doing businesses, how businesses operate. Technology and business are interlinked and interdependent on one another. Obviously, new technology comes from business, and technology obviously affects business. Businesses use new discoveries to adapt themselves for the advancement of the society. You keep adapting to the new technologies for the advancement of society. टेक्नोलॉजी हैज़ इम्पैक्टेड हाउ बिजनेस इज कंडक्टेड. ऑब्वियसली टेक्नोलॉजी के हिसाब से काम करने का तरीका बदलता है, धीरे धीरे ऑटोमेट हो रहा है. मैनुअल बुक कीपिंग की जगह ऑटोमेट हुआ, कंप्यूटराइज हुआ, टैली हुआ आज के दिन में, क्विक बुक्स, द एंटायर book keeping and accounting mechanism is drastically changing. With the use of technology, many organizations are able to reduce paperwork, schedule payments more efficiently, are able to coordinate inventories efficiently and effectively. This reduces cost of companies and shrinks time and distance and giving them a competitive advantage in the market. Time कम लगता है, cost कम हो रहा है because of technology, efficiencies improve हो रहा है. That's how technology is impacting businesses. Changes in technology have an effect on how a business runs its operations. Technology may require businesses to change, drastically alter the operations, production, and marketing strategy. You cannot expect to continue doing the business the same way. We have had to adapt. I will keep giving my examples in my SM classes. So from the era where we were only face-to-face classes, where we were not selling online classes, till the time 2020 when we first came full-fledgedly available in pen drive and Google Drive and recorded mode, to today where we are like virtual live and offering all kinds of products in the market. The technology has caused adaptation, changes in the business. Technology is creating new business opportunities as well as making obsolete most of the existing business products and services. So gradually, Nokia was one of the ones who realized this very harsh way. But eventually, if you're not able to adapt to changes in technology, you would be left behind. Which is why you need to understand the technological changes, adapt the technological changes, and move ahead with it. Technology can be an opportunity when a business adopts technological innovations. However, at the same time, technology can act as a threat if you're not able to change with the changing technologies. So it can be an opportunity. Technology can act as an opportunity if a business adopts technological innovations. Technology can act as a threat too if you're not able to adapt. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotic automations, these are new words that we keep listening to, but these are all types of technological changes that are happening that is eventually impacting the organizations. Okay, the last part of the macro environment part, are we very clearly getting this? बहुत easy topics चल रहा है, simple topics चल रहा है, but बहुत कुछ है जो हम डिस्कस करते हुए चल रहे हैं. ठीक है ना. तो हमने मैक्रो के अंदर सबसे पहले डेमोग्राफिक सीखा, इकोनॉमिक सीखा, सोशियो कल्चरल सीखा, पॉलिटिकल लीगल सीखा और फिर टेक्नोलॉजिकल सीखा है. Are we very clear with the macro environment components?